Это церковь Святого Леонарда в Хайте. Ей почти 1000 лет. Но я имею в виду, на этом месте стояла церковь еще почти 1000 лет тому назад. То, что мы видим, это уже позднее строение. Такой солнечный день сегодня. Как раз для посещения каких-то мест, которые навевают вас на грусть, вызывают грустные ассоциации, ну и заставляют вас задуматься о жизни и смерти. В церковь мы сегодня не пойдем, я вас поведу в его склеп.
Just outside the Midlands, middle of England, and evidently there is another one in a church in London, but I'm not sure of the name of the church. But it is the largest, the oldest, and we have over 1,000 skulls, and they are from the Middle Ages, from 1200 onwards, over 1,000. And 500, mostly thigh bones, mostly the long bones.
Oh my God, those are bones.
Yeah, they are all bones. Yes, you do take pictures.
I sort of, with a corner of my eye, I thought they were pebbles.
I know, you were looking at, they are mostly, as you say, the bones and this joint. The joint.
Yeah.
Yes. But they're right. They're here not because of a huge battle or an epidemic, although there were battles with the Vikings on the coast very early on, the Danes.
Right.
There's a map there, 498, where there was because the coastline has changed. If you look at the maps now, I mean, it is completely different.
Sure.
Because this church was built on the site of the Anglo-Saxon church, which is the little stone church, and it was built by the Normans about 1102, 1104, on the same site.
Right, before the Normans.
Yeah. Well, during the Norman time. It's a splendid church.
It is.
Beautiful.
Yes.
But I still like the simple stone church that was here before, and all of this along here is the stone masonry from the Anglo-Saxon church. All of these along here, you see here, the little church was here.
The Anglo-Saxon one.
The Anglo-Saxon one, and I always think, well, yes, I love this church, but don't forget, in the Middle Ages, this was the church,
and it was very important back then.
It was very important. And I'm quite fond of it, shall we say?
Absolutely. It's older and
it tells a story.
Exactly, each of them, yes.
Yeah. And
this beautiful flower.
Yes.
Simple,
and this little
but beautiful.
This is really, I've only really learnt about this. This was a French apprentice round about 16 years. Well, he carved out this picture of the mason, his boss.
Oh, right.
As a sort of thank you, but it says, I've just been reading up, it's a bit rough because he's still learning, and he travelled from France, but it is symbolic,
symbolic.
And I just think the whole story of him, like his autograph, I was here, I designed this, but anyway.
So he must have been very fond of his mason.
I think so.
Or master mason.
And very pleased that he'd been given that opportunity.
The job, yes. Yeah, quite prestigious job.
It would have been. So these casements, these show bone disease. Not a nice subject, but they show you, in those times, they had curvature of the spine. Well, you can heal them now. A rod is placed in the back and they're healed.
Right.
And these other bone diseases, osteomyelitis somewhere along here, pelvic bones fused together. I mean, sorts of nasty. And I find the hair interesting too. This is the Anglo-Saxon hair. It's been here, it's plaited together, and it was found among the bones. And I know it's faded, but it gives you an idea of the colouring of the people. Sort of Albany blondie, kind of the picture you would expect. Lots of teeth. The teeth are very good because they didn't have sugar in their diet. So if you look,
and they had a lot of fibre as well.
Had a lot. Yeah. Well, they didn't. These people didn't eat well. They were poor. They scavenged for food, and so they weren't well fed. They didn't live much longer than 40 years old, and they weren't big people. You'd be you'd be too tall for a lady, but they would be 5 foot. Wouldn't live very long. They had a tough life, and there are more female skulls than male, interestingly enough. Right. Know what the men were doing?
Fighting in the wars.
Yeah, with the Viking
and being left in the fields.
That's right, doing something. So more female. But these are placed here to make it more interesting, the skulls. That's a male skull. The male skull is more pronounced. These little pricks round the eyes show they had a very poor diet. They were anemic. And,
really?
And most of them died
from those holes.
Those little holes, pinpricks round the eyes, are a sign of anemia, evidently. So they had a tough life, hobbling around with their broken legs fractures that didn't heal.
Yeah, quite small skulls,
and
small people.
Skulls.
Yes.
Yeah, they were. So, and these are they're all old, but evidently these are even older.
Can we go there?
You can. Oh yeah, you can go. I haven't even walked up with you, Jen. But you can check loads of pictures. You see, they've still got those little pinpricks around the eye sockets.
And big holes.
And I know. More than likely, when they were dug up from the grave, they were buried. Right. You see where we're standing now? They were this was the graveyard. But they wanted to make the altar in the church more beautiful, and they dug the graveyard and they dug these people up wrongly. And some of these where the spade hit the top of the head.
Like this.
But yes, it does give us the chance to examine them and to talk about our history.
Do the scientists come sometimes and ask?
They do from
samples.
They test them.
Right.
The students come, so it's good for the students to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's quite amazing. And if you like marble, Italian marble, this was taken out of the church, probably because it was too big. But isn't it beautiful?
Absolutely.
I know.
Beautiful.
I mean, I have to
the
touch
veins.
it. I have to touch it because it's so beautiful.
Yeah. It's better if you do it, but don't allow the tourists do it.
I know I shouldn't, but I like it. Yeah.
It's beautiful marble.
It's just so unusual, isn't it?
So they must have taken it out from the church and left where?
They must have taken it
out of the church because it was, you say, supposedly big, too big.
It would have been. Well,
and they would have left it somewhere else, and then it was placed in here because it's kind of a museum.
We just didn't want it in the church, I suppose. And yes, you're right, because it is a museum, isn't it?
And you've got numbers. Yeah. What are they corresponding to? Is it the information somewhere?
These are the Anglo-Saxon church, from the church, and you can read up about them.
Right.
But it's interesting. It's so old. It's just, I mean, stone masonry. there are very few stonemasons now.
Oh yeah, I know. When they renovated Canterbury, it took
Yes.
them. It took them years
Yes,
to
yes.
do it.
You've been to Canterbury, it's fabulous. Isn't
Yes, yeah.
it?
I went years ago. They had a conference dedicated to lost art
Oh,
and
right.
ancient art.
Yes.
I mean frescoes
Yes,
and
beautiful.
stones deteriorate as
I
well.
was just looking at this, look.
Yeah,
I
exactly,
hadn't
exactly.
known. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's obvious it will deteriorate.
So, oh, look at
Not
that.
while I'm in it, I hope.
Yeah, yeah. So they took us to the very top of Canterbury Cathedral,
Oh,
and we saw the carpenters working there.
yes, yeah.
And it's such a complex task.
It is.
Yeah.
It must be. It must be. Yeah.
So you are saying it's over 1,000 of skulls,
Yes,
and
yes.
how many bones?
Probably 500 plus bones, long thigh bones, because probably the smaller bones disintegrated.
Yes,
Or
absolutely.
the animals would have run off with
And
them.
where will you keep them all?
Well,
You see what I
exactly.
mean?
You can't. I mean, we've got a few smaller bones here, haven't we? You can't keep all the bones.
It says on the incisors, front teeth of this mandible, you can see a build-up of tartar.
That's right, tartar around the teeth there.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I just do feel free, take lots of pictures. Hello. You're welcome to the correct or the ossouarий or the bone house. It's £5 an adult, please. That's a capital card. Or a donation if you want.
Эти вообще-то исторические кости, им несколько тысяч лет. И нашли их в Фолкстоуне. Одна из костей, не человеческая, наверное, какое-то животное.
Churches, things collapse and need repairing. We're all volunteers. So I'll tell you a little bit about it. If you want to put any bags down, the lady bags, you're very welcome if they're heavy. So these skulls, we've got over
Это два примера позвоночников, которые срослись с сейкром. Это, по-моему, тазобедренная кость. Нет. Сейкром, это может быть это нижняя часть черепа. Не помню.
And you can see that is the original oak shelving.
Incredible.
Now, the remaining thigh bones and other bones, originally, these were all, do come in, I've only just started, so originally, all of these were in the graveyard. And there's a picture if you want to have a look.
Right, остеомиелит – это инфекция в кости. И вот такие вот образуют полости.
The Anglo-Saxon church was built on the site. There's the Anglo-Saxon stonemasonry there. 1066, William the Conqueror. Normans decided they would knock down the stone church and build this beautiful Norman church.
А это нижняя челюсть ребенка, который умер в возрасте 11 лет. Все молочные зубы выпали, но не все постоянные зубы выпали полностью. Это еще маленький ребенок.
Placed on wooden trellis
То
and
есть
chicken
молочные
wire
выпали
and
впереди.
sort of crisscrossed like that.
Мгм.
And they've been like that since probably about
А зубы
20
мудрости
or
вот
thereabouts.
начинают появляться, поэтому они ниже
So
сидят.
here they are, and authentic dust, and the teeth still hanging in there. It's remarkable. Now these, obviously, we know are children, but the Victorians like to exaggerate, and they said they're dwarfs from an Italian travelling circus. But no way, because the heads are small, they're children. And it will give you an idea of how small those children were, because they're 4.5 and 6.5. And if you look at children's heads now, when they come in, I say, how old are you? Their head's a lot bigger than that. So generally, these are not big skulls. There's always exceptions. So here they are. They started the St Leonard's Osteological Association and others started to collate and number them. Basically, there's about 47% female, 38% male, 16% juvenile, and others they're not really sure, but more female. Why that is? Possibly the men were out fighting. I don't know. Now, these people died of natural causes. The pinpricks around the eye sockets, and they've all got them, are a sign of anemia and malnutrition. And we only know that recently, since the various professors and students have come from various unis all over the country. And so I'd like to tell you they'd all died of the plague or they died of huge battles. Yes, there were battles with the Vikings. There was a battle around the corner in Dover with the Danes, and I expect they took prisoners, came back and settled, because a large proportion of these skulls have Northern European ancestry. Of course, I just said we have the Vikings, we have the Italians, the Romans, we know that. We have the French, we have the German. We are a complete mixture. So going back to them, they're local, they were buried here, they were removed from the graveyard. It may well have been a mass grave, because it's a shame if they were individually, if they had tombstones, because they could have recorded the names. So I suspect it's a mass grave. So although they've started to number them, we aren't, no one at the moment is able to say that is a particular family, a local family. But I know families that haven't moved from the area. So they probably here somewhere, and it will be interesting. So here we are, mostly died from a bad diet, a hard life, but the red dots are, if you can go over and take pictures, you can see triangular shape, where he was very nastily stabbed. Somebody said to me it's because he stole another person's wife, but I don't know. I'm sure a lot of that happened, and I think that's a bit. Next to him is an example of a female skull with a dent in the back of the head. You can, if you have to
Which
look
one?
closely,
That one?
the one with the red and orange. There's a dent. That is a blunt force trauma, possibly a stone. 20 other female skulls have similar blunt force traumas to the back of the head, and we wondered about witchcraft and stoning. Medieval times, I can't prove it. It seems a bit of a coincidence. The other two I've just read up because I didn't know. Somebody asked me just now. Had a nasty to the right eye, a nasty eye disease, and here a tumour to the top of the head. Over here we have a benign tumour, but they probably died of something else, wouldn't have died from that. And this chap, and it's a male skull because the brow is more pronounced, he would have died from something that's treatable now called Graves' disease, which is an overactive thyroid. But of course, poor chap, he would have died from that. And that is just for the children, really. A robin came in one winter, made a bit of a mess, and somebody said, well, we'll just put that in there for the children when they come in. So these people, if they reached 40 years old, that would have been considered quite old. If they reached 5 foot, that would have been quite tall. So they weren't tall, they weren't particularly healthy or well nourished because of the diet. They had a tough life. Along there you can see pictures of people that have broken a limb and it's mended badly and overlapped, so they're limping. And in the first casement, I mean, there's lots and lots of reading, I'll shut up in a minute, but in the first casement, there are 2 examples of black African skulls, a child and an adult, and 1 Caucasian skull. And the difference is you're looking down on the palette, and there's a
You break £20 now? 10. 2 of us.
I can have a go. Yeah, I've forgotten now how much I'm charging. Is it to 1 person, 2 people? 2 people, and that, yeah, that's 10, 11. Oh, yeah, so I've got. I should be able to. Shouldn't I? 12, 13. Thank you. Well, it's just.
Just travelled from Bournemouth.
Oh, have you? Oh. Oh, gosh, you come straight in. Yes, I know, the hours, it's not, yeah, it's 2 hours.
Well, you're
it is old, yeah. How lovely. Yes, yes. I'm thinking, so you're staying here for a
We're just here overnight, and then we're going to catch the ferry over to France.
lovely. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I hope the weather improves. Yeah, I do like Dorset. Yes. Yeah, I really do. Yeah.
So, do I owe you still for that?
I'll be taking the money for now. I can't go through all that again. Just I do take for the pages.
No, take.
You sure?
Вот такая у нас была прогулка с вами. Церковь стоит на холме, и вот отсюда видно море. Прекрасно видно, темно-синее море. Все залито солнечным светом. Ну и на этой позитивной ноте мы закончим наше маленькое видео. Ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь и до следующих встреч.